Hello everyone, it's Portly. Where the heck have I been, right? Sorry, it's been a little while since I put out a video. I've been real busy. Been working a full-time job as well as an editing job on the side of that. Sometimes those things just sort of get in the way of my time to make videos. Or if I do get the time, I just don't have the energy or creativity to put into an actual video. But I love my editing job and I'm not gonna give that up, so I'm gonna do what I can, to get you guys more videos more frequently. Also, I don't have a Christmas video this year. I had a couple different ideas planned, but then life just happened and things got in the way. Now, as of filming this, Christmas is a couple days away and it's going to be too late, so here's a Q&A. I also have a new lens that I'm testing out with this video. How does it look? Should I keep it? Do you think it's good? Got it on sale, so maybe I'll keep it. Speaking of lenses, one question that was not submitted but I get a lot in my comments or people just say something about it, and that is, do my glasses have lenses? And the answer is, no, they don't. If you've never noticed, my glasses do not have lenses. Some people say it's stupid, some people say it's dumb. I say, who cares? So why do I wear them? I just like how my face looks better with the glasses, and the lenses sometimes get either too much reflection from my lights, or sometimes when I film I get real sweaty and the lenses get foggy. So I just decided, hey, I don't need them, I just want the frames, I'm gonna pop the lenses out and do my thing. And it's just sort of been a thing on this channel for years. I only have a few videos toward the beginning of the life of my channel where I'm not wearing glasses, and then after that I just decided to make them a thing. And I'm gonna keep wearing them, so to start off with the actual submitted questions, I'm gonna go with one that sort of goes with the origin of my channel, as well as the one that most people asked. I got a lot of people asking this question, and it is, what made you want to start a YouTube channel? It's kind of hard for me to really go back and pinpoint what exactly made me want to start, but here's a sort of long-winded answer from what I can remember. Back in like 2012, 2013, I started watching YouTube like a lot. Before then, I really didn't watch YouTube the way I watch it now, watching it for specific creators who I wanted to come back and see. It all kind of started with JonTron, honestly, who got me eventually into Peanut Butter Gamer, and then Brutal Moose, Cat Icarus, basically all the normal boots, hidden block people who do those style of game reviews, I guess you could call them. Basically what I started my channel with. And then I just kind of thought, hey, I've always kind of had an interest in editing videos. I feel like this could be a fun creative outlet to put myself out there, and I just went for it. The Portly Gamer actually started off as a Tumblr page, which I did also adopt a YouTube channel name just to eventually when I started doing videos. And then it took me about 6 months to actually go from creating the Portly Gamer to coming out with a video. My Portly Gamer channel started in March of 2015, I think it was, and I actually put out my first video on my birthday in September of that year. And that's how it started, and that's how it's been since. What was your first game console? And sort of adding on to that, my friend Virgil from Jrpg Central, he asks, what's your video game history? Your first console all the way up to adulthood. Any generations you missed out on? Keep up the great work and stay awesome. Thank you, friend, and same to you. My first console that I owned that was actually just mine was my PS2 that I got when I was in high school. Before that, it was all sharing. I started off, my very first experience playing video games was the NES. I'm pretty sure first game I ever played was Super Mario Brothers, and I remember watching my brother play The Legend of Zelda, and I kind of sort of played some games with him. He also had a Sega Genesis, which eventually became mine-ish. It was sort of both of ours, but more so mine because he wasn't in the house. And as I grew up, my dad got a Super Nintendo, which wasn't mine, but I did have games for it. Then he got a PS1, which I played a lot and sort of inherited later on. I guess the N64 was mine. I only ever had like 3 games for it for all the years that I owned it. I had a Dreamcast for a bit, which my dad sold. I don't remember why, but then my dad bought an Xbox and we played Halo like a lot on that. Like a lot of Halo. But then from last gen to this gen, I've basically owned every console except an Xbox One, which if you have a PC nowadays, you really don't need one. As far as if I've actually missed a generation, I would say probably the GameCube. I didn't own a GameCube, I wish I had. I see a lot of people who have fond memories of some great GameCube classics. I just never got one because at my house, my parents really didn't want me to have every game console. They didn't want me to spend a lot of time playing games. I still had school to focus on, of course. So I'd say if I missed out on a generation, it was more a part of that generation, and that's GameCube. I've never played Mario Sunshine. I wish I had. Who is your favorite video game character and why? If I had to choose, I'd probably say Vivi from Final Fantasy IX. He's my son, he's a precious little babu who needs to be protected, and I love him. I won't go into why more specifically than that for anyone who may not have played Final Fantasy IX, because if you haven't, do so. Amy, hello Amy, she asks, what is your favorite system of all time? I don't really know. I would say it's probably a handheld though. As much as I love PC gaming now and I really enjoy playing on consoles, I'd say handhelds are my go-to as far as collecting, buying games. There's just something about being able to take it with you and playing whenever you want, picking it up, putting it down. That's just sort of become my thing. I'd say as much as I love playing games on my PS2 and PS1 back in the day, I probably got the most enjoyment and have the fondest memories of playing games on my Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advance. I mean, if you look behind me, you can see my Switch, my Vita, my 2DS XL, PSP is down here somewhere. They all get a lot of frequent use, rotationally. I just love them. What started your love of video games? I would say probably just watching my brother play games a lot as a kid just really got me into the idea of playing games, and then I tried them and I was really bad at them, and I'm still pretty bad at games, but he always kind of kicked me off on that. He was super into his NES and his Genesis, and watching him play was always a delight. And then it was just always fun kind of renting games for myself here and there on the Super Nintendo and Genesis. It was a lot of fun memories, and that's probably, I'd say, what kickstarted it. Also, my dad, he was somewhat young when he had me, and so he still played games a lot back then, and he got me into the Super Nintendo and PlayStation. Everything just kind of all congealed into gaming for me, and it's all just kind of kept going since then. Favorite licensed game? I guess Star Wars is a license, right? So I guess I'd have to choose Knights of the Old Republic 1 or 2. I honestly love them both equally for different things. I know 2 is generally regarded as the weaker of the two, and maybe that's true, but there's just something about 2 that does different things than KOTOR 1 does, and it just makes it hard for me to choose which one I like more. It's more like, do you prefer doughy pepperoni pizza or a nice crispy flatbread spinach and mushroom pizza? They're both really good types of pizza that I just enjoy. I don't know if I could pick one over the other. That's how I guess I could explain that. I want some pizza now. Game series with the best soundtrack and sound effects. Oh, that's a tough one. I actually, for the longest time, have been sitting on the idea, and I mean, like, since the first year I started this channel, have been thinking about doing a top game soundtrack video someday, somehow, maybe. But if I had to choose, gosh, I'd probably say the Persona games. More so 4 and 5. I've never really played 1 and 2, and I don't have a lot of fond memories of the music from 3, but 4 and 5 just have some of my favorite songs in gaming. I use them a lot in my videos. I listen to them occasionally, which I don't really listen to game soundtracks, but that one, 4 and 5, Persona, they just keep me coming back. As for sound effects, I would probably choose a more retro game with its bleeps and bloops. Newer games don't really have, like, cool sound effects in my opinion, unless they're going for the retro thing or they're Japanese, because I don't know, they put more, I think, creativity and less realism into their sound effects. If I had to choose, I'd probably say the sound effects from PlayStation era Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 9. They all kind of have similar sound effects that when I hear them just take me back. I think I'd have to go with those. My friend Blue Coolman asks, who's your favorite YouTuber with Blue in their channel name? Also, favorite JRPG? Well, that first question's easy. It's Blue Arachnia. As far as my favorite JRPG, it's sort of a toss-up between Final Fantasy IX and Persona 4 Golden, and it's more of a toss-up now than it was back in my top 5 JRPG videos, which I'll link here. It's just, I replayed 9 recently, like, replaying it, re-experiencing it, remembering a lot of the good and just how great the story is in that game. It really makes me appreciate it more so than I did already, so I don't know, maybe Final Fantasy IX. Favorite games/games of all time? That's kind of a tough one to answer because I guess I would go with games, because I'd never really have a single favorite that I'd choose. Like, if I had to choose one game to play for the rest of my life, and that's it, I don't know if I'd have an easy time of choosing one. So to just kind of go through some of my favorites, Final Fantasy IX, Persona 4 Golden, Persona 5, again, Knights of the Old Republic 1 or 2, Morrowind, Oblivion, maybe Skyrim. I feel like Skyrim is just kind of overdone. Been so long and it comes out and everything, I'm kind of over it. The Last of Us is one that I always bring up when it comes to favorite games. It's just something about that game is just, it resonates with me every time I replay it. And I do replay it here and there, which is not a common thing for me in video games. Also, Dragon's Dogma. Seriously, Capcom, we need a sequel. We need it here in the West. We need it now. It's time. There have been no other games quite like it. The way it takes open world action RPG, combines it with like a Dark Soulsy, Monster Hunter-y kind of just thing, but you have like a squad of different characters. There has not been anything quite like it that I can think of, and I wish there was. You know, if they're not going to come out with a sequel, I'll take a clone, please. Cloud Escalar asks, how are you today? I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing? Good? I hope so. What is one dream console you wish to own? I kind of own what I want. I wouldn't mind owning a GameCube or a Dreamcast to play once in a while, but I could always just buy those. They're not super expensive. I guess if I had to go for like a dream console that I wouldn't really drop the money on, it would be a Neo Geo Pocket Gold X. I'm probably messing up that name, but this thing on the screen right now, because look at that. It was like a precursor to the Switch, first of all, because you can put it into this console dock thing and you could play on the TV, but just the handheld device itself, I just want to hold one. Look how sleek and awesome looking that is. And I've heard that people do use it for emulation, which sounds pretty cool too. I wouldn't mind owning one of those, but I'm also not going to drop the money that you would need to buy one, so... I have a question, how dare you? Are there any really ambitious ideas you have for your channel that you're just waiting until the right moment to unveil? Do you have a bucket list for your channel? I wouldn't really say that I have ambitious ideas like this is exactly what I want to do and it's a big project that's going to take a lot of people and a lot of money or whatever. I would more so say that I wouldn't mind being able to make like whatever I want as far as like elaborate sketches with like a set and you know, actors or whatever, like here and there would be kind of cool, but at the same time, if somebody were to be like, okay, here's the budget, here's the set, here's the cast, what do you want to make? I'd be like, I don't know. I guess yes and no. To answer your question, how did you get the chance to edit for another YouTuber? Did you use any platforms in specific to find this project? If you guys don't know, I mentioned my side editing job. I do edit for a YouTuber named Austin Eruption. It's a bigger channel than mine, really cool dude, really down to earth. As far as how I came to edit for him, I didn't really use a specific platform, I just sort of happened to get to know him because, like I said, he's really down to earth. He's got a Discord server where he's active in and he'll just kind of sit there and talk with people. So I kind of just interacted with him online here and there, on Discord, on Twitch, on Twitter. And a couple years ago, he just put out this message on Discord asking if anybody would be interested in possibly becoming an editor for him. So I slid into his DMs and was like, hey, I'm interested, here's some of my work. He's like, cool, I'll let you know. And he went with someone else, but that's okay, because a couple months later that person they weren't doing it anymore, so he hit me up and was like, hey, you still interested in becoming an editor? And I said yes, and it's been like I've been his editor since then. It's been almost 2 years now. This coming March or so, it's gonna be 2 years that I started editing for him, and I'm still editing for him, and it's great, and I'm having a blast doing it. What channels do you usually watch in your spare time? A lot of the people that influenced me, I still watch. I don't watch a lot of them as much. More so, I'd say Brutal Moose is one that I watch whenever he comes out with a new video. Austin Eruption, even though I edit for him, I do still watch his videos. Aside from that, lately, I actually don't watch as much YouTube as I used to. I mostly spend my free time listening to streams from a Twitch streamer called Kit Boga. He's just this really cool dude who calls up scammers to waste their time. He uses voice changers and whatnot to be different characters, and it's pretty great. It's hilarious. It's worth just sitting there and listening to for like hours. I'll just listen to the VODs while I'm like editing or playing games or whatever. Aside from that, lately, if I do watch YouTube, I've been watching a lot of tech channels, again, like Random Frank P, Linus Tech Tips, Hardware Canucks, all those guys. I really like their channels. Bad Seed Tech is a newer channel that has really kind of blown up recently and well deserved, I think. Do you have any really obscure games that you really enjoy that no one else really knows about? They can be retro or modern. That's a good question. I don't think I really have like obscure games. If I had to say obscure that I really enjoy, I don't even know if I'd call them obscure, but there's a couple games on the 3DS, Ever Oasis and Fantasy Life. They're similar kind of games, sort of similar to like Rune Factory, I guess, where you spend like the majority of the time doing like productive jobs, either like helping a town grow or just like in Fantasy Life you can literally just be a blacksmith or be a seamster or seamstress, whatever you want to call it, or you could just be a knight, you know. And I wouldn't necessarily call them obscure, more so as I just don't really hear about them that much compared to like some of the other bigger like Nintendo published 3DS games. I really like those. Fantasy Life is my favorite 3DS game. What was the first game that you 100% completed, and is there any game of old prior to 2017 you have yet to beat? You know, I don't really 100% games very often. It's not something I try for. A lot of times I'm just like, once I hit the credits, if there's nothing really interesting I want to do afterwards, I'll move on, because, you know, I don't really have time and I've got a lot of games to get through in my backlog. But back on the Xbox 360, the first game that I owned on that was The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, and it is the first game where I ever got all of the achievements. It's actually not something I've done very often on any game since then, but it is the first one, and I was always proud of that. Do you play adult games, and if yes, what's your favorite adult game? I'm assuming by adult game You mean like above rated M? And if that's the case, I don't play any of those. But sorry. What items did you buy when you first began making content? Camera, mic, etc. Well, when I first started, if I remember correctly, the camera that I used was actually my phone at the time, which was probably back then like a Galaxy S6 or 7. I don't remember, but it was my phone. And as far as a mic, I used a blue Snowball, which I still have put away in a box for backup. I've been using a blue Yeti that you can see back there, using that for like a couple years now. But when I started off, I used the Snowball. I think it's still a great mic for starting out. Aside from that, I had a tripod, which is actually right here in front of me. I had my computer, which has been upgraded a couple times since then. And that was basically it. I sat down and I just started to edit. And that was basically it. I didn't even have a capture card back then. I just basically used OBS to record footage on my computer. And when it came to using PS4 footage, I would just use the PS4's built-in recording and then use a flash drive to put those videos from the PS4 onto my computer. And it worked well enough. Not my favorite way of doing it now. I have a capture card, I've had one for a couple years, and that's definitely the way to go, but it was a nice workaround. Final question, Nitro Warrior asks for a face reveal. Alright, I was gonna wait till I hit 10k on this one, guys, but here it is. Okay, ready? Okay guys, that's gonna do it for me. That was the Q&A. I appreciate all the questions. If you guys want to see me do another one of these someday, just follow me on Twitter or even follow me on Instagram, because on all those platforms I use those to ask for questions. That's what I use this time. That's what I'll use in the future. I don't plan on doing another one like right away, but in the future, if you guys want to ask me other questions, just follow me on those platforms, and that way when I ask for those questions, you could be like, hey, here you go. Sorry again for the delay in videos. I'm really hoping to get more out soon. We're working on some stuff to get out to you guys at the beginning of the year. I don't know if I'm going to do a best games of 2019 because then I have to really rush it and I don't really want to do that. But we'll see. If you guys are okay with waiting for its best of 2019 video and you want to know what I think, let me know in the comments. I gotta go. My throat hurts now. Okay, bye. 1, 2, 3. Clap.